5 customer emails, 1 quote request, 1 schedule change, 1 complaint, 1 billing question, and 1 message that should never reach the owner. Answering them manually took me 27 minutes and 18 seconds. With an AI-assisted inbox, including human review, the same batch took 8 minutes and 7 seconds. That looks promising. But one draft was too confident, one had to be blocked, and I would not let this system send anything by itself. Here is the complete test. This is no hype AI office. Every week, we test one AI workflow that can save a small business time or money. Today, I am building an inbox assistant for a fictional 3-person cleaning company in Austin, Texas. The goal is simple: sort routine messages, draft useful replies, and send anything risky to a human. BrightPath Cleaning Company is a sandbox business created for this test. Every name, message, price, and policy you see is synthetic. No real customer data is being uploaded. That matters, because a polished demonstration is not worth exposing private information. The workflow is realistic, but the inbox is safely fake. Before touching an AI tool, I wrote 4 business rules. A standard cleaning starts at $129. The assistant may explain that starting price, but it cannot give a final quote without the service details. It can apologize for a problem, but it cannot promise a refund. Billing questions always go to the owner. And most important, AI may create a draft, but only a person can press send. The test inbox contains 5 common messages. Maria wants a quote for a 2-bedroom apartment. Daniel needs to move Friday's appointment. Priya says a bathroom shelf was missed. Taylor sees what may be a duplicate charge. And Growth Rocket has a very exciting partnership opportunity, which is another way of saying sales spam. First, I answered the batch manually. I checked the policy sheet, looked for open appointment times, wrote each response, and left the billing question for the owner. Total time, 27 minutes and 18 seconds. That baseline includes careful reading, not just typing. If you rush the baseline, the automation will look better than it really is. The AI workflow has 5 steps. Read the message. Classify the request. Check the relevant business rule. Draft a response or escalate the message. Then wait for human review. A production version could connect an inbox, an approved automation platform, and an AI service. For this test, I am using a local sandbox, so we can inspect every decision. I kept the classification system deliberately small. Quote, scheduling, complaint, billing review, and spam. Small categories are easier to test and easier for a business owner to understand. If the model is uncertain, the fallback label is review. That is less impressive than pretending the AI knows everything, but it is much safer. The core instruction says, you are an inbox assistant for BrightPath Cleaning. Classify the message using one approved label. State which policy rule applies. Draft a reply in plain American English under 120 words. Do not invent availability, prices, refunds, or completed actions. If the message involves billing, legal threats, safety, sensitive information, or uncertainty, do not draft a final answer. Mark it for owner review and explain why. Maria's quote request was classified correctly. The first draft mentioned the $129 starting price and asked for the apartment size, bathroom count, zip code, and preferred time. It did not invent an exact quote or promise Tuesday was available. It also noticed the dog, which matters for access instructions. This draft needed only a quick tone edit. Daniel's schedule change exposed a useful guardrail. The assistant acknowledged the situation and offered to help, but it did not make up an open appointment. Instead, the draft asked whether Monday or Tuesday would generally work and told the customer that BrightPath would confirm the exact time. That is a small difference between helpful automation and a scheduling mistake. Priya's complaint was the most important failure. The first draft said, "We will make this right," and offered a complimentary touch-up. That sounds friendly, but neither action was authorized by the policy. After tightening the instruction, the revised draft apologized, confirmed the issue would be reviewed, and asked for a photo and the service date. This is why you test uncomfortable examples, not just easy ones. Taylor's possible duplicate charge was correctly blocked. The assistant created no final customer reply. It prepared a short internal note for the owner. Verify the invoice number, payment processor record, and whether one charge is still pending. A human can then respond using verified information. Financial questions are a bad place for confident guessing. The growth rocket message was labeled spam and removed from the action queue. It used generic praise, promised explosive growth, and included no specific reference to the business. This was the easiest win in the batch. It saved only a few seconds, but repeated across a month, those interruptions add up. Every draft goes through the same human check. Are the facts correct? Did the draft follow policy? Is the tone appropriate for the situation? Does the message contain private information that should not be in the tool? And is it actually safe to send? Review took between 45 seconds and 2 minutes per message. That time is part of the result, not something I hide. Here are the measure results. Manual batch, 27 minutes and 18 seconds. AI classification and draft generation, 1 minute and 42 seconds. Human review and corrections, 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Total AI-assisted time, 8 minutes and 7 seconds. Time saved on this 5-email batch, 19 minutes and 11 seconds, or about 70%. Do not turn one small test into a giant promise. If BrightPath handled one similar 5-email batch on 20 workdays, the measured difference would equal about 6.4 hours per month. That is an estimate, not a guarantee. A different inbox, slower review, or more complicated customers could produce a very different result. The sandbox test had 0 incremental software cost. A production workflow is different. You may need a business email plan, an automation service, and separately billed AI usage. The exact number depends on your existing tools, message volume, and privacy requirements. Also, a chat subscription does not automatically include API usage. Check the current vendor pricing before you build, and compare the monthly cost with the hours you can realistically save. Privacy is not a checkbox at the end. Use business-approved accounts and read the current data terms for every service. Send only the information the workflow actually needs. Never paste passwords, full payment details, medical information, or identity documents into a general AI tool. Decide who can access the automation, how long data is retained, and what happens when an employee leaves. This workflow breaks when the business rules are vague, prices change without updating the policy, calendar data is missing, or a customer writes something emotional or unusual. It can also produce a perfectly written answer to the wrong question. The biggest risk is blind auto-send. For a small business, saving another minute is rarely worth sending a confident mistake to a customer. If you want to build this, start with the safe version. Create 20 synthetic examples based on the types of messages you receive. Write the rules a new employee would need. Ask the AI to classify and draft, but not send. Test complaints, billing, cancellations, and confusing requests. Then measure the complete process, including corrections. Only connect live data after you understand the failure modes and your data obligations. My verdict: useful with review. The system was good at routine classification, extracting missing details, and producing a workable first draft. It was not trustworthy enough for refunds, billing, or unattended sending. For a small service business, the practical win is not replacing the person who knows the customers. It is giving that person a faster first draft and a cleaner queue. I put this workflow and 9 more into a free guide called 10 AI Workflows that save a small business 5+ hours a week. Each one includes the task, setup steps, guardrails, and a starter prompt. The link is in the description. Next week, I will test an automated lead follow-up system on the same kind of real-world examples. Subscribe if you want the result, including what fails.